Hello, I am your unofficial Australian board game correspondent and welcome back to the table. So today we have something special to finish off our playthrough of Season 1 of Final Girl, and that is Terror from Above. This is a vignette expansion, and what that means is, for one, there is no killer board, and also it does not come with a location. So we get the option to pick any location we want. So naturally, I've decided to act out my worst nightmare, which is a swarm of birds at a board game convention. Now, the birds work a little bit differently, as technically, according to the rules, these will act just like minions. So if you remember the Geppetto playthrough, how the minions kind of act in a treacherous way, but not as evil as the main killer, the birds do the same. So my objective is to survive long enough to be able to rescue all the victims on the board. And once I do that, then two victims that are different colored, these special victims, will spawn in, and those are the people that I have to try and save. So if I save those people, then congratulations to me, I will survive. So one of the ways to spawn them in is by saving all victims currently. And the second way to spawn them in is if I am able to achieve my goal here and turn into the ultimate final girl. So I'm playing as Melanie, and as you can see here on the back side, I will be able to lose health to be able to deal 2 damage to enemies in my space, which will be good here for these birds. So all the birds have 1 health, and you'll notice that there are some different tokens. So of course, this will just be a singular bird, whereas the groups will be 3 birds. So I lose the game if I am to die, or if every single space has 3 birds on it. So it turns into a kind of pandemic system because I am trying to stop myself from being overwhelmed by the amount of birds. Now, if that wasn't going to be hard enough, I have also chosen to add in Mega BG Con, which is from Final Girl's newest feature film, which is Shriek. Now, this map works a little bit differently. The first important rule is because it is a board game convention, all of these spaces that are with the yellow aces, if there are victims in these spots, they will not actually follow me out of these rooms because everyone wants to be demoing games. So the only way I can get people out of those rooms is by playing this new Create a Panic card. And I can discard any card during my action phase to grab it, and it pretty much lets me try and panic them to see if I can get them out of those game show rooms, whatever they're called. The second important rule is I can actually search in any of the spaces. So every single space on this board is searchable. They don't all have the orange outlines because of that reason, except for the food court. The food court does have the orange outline, but pretty much the exhibit area is going to be anything that has this icon on it. So any of the spots where there are game companies, the general areas will be the hallways and the outside, and of course the food court will be down in the corner. So that's really good because if I'm able to search a bunch, then I'm going to be able to try and get some items. The third rule is you'll notice that there are these little arrows, I think here and in the main hallway as well, and out there. If I'm ever to move in between those locations where those arrows are, I get to add 1 extra die to my roll, as long as my first move is going through that spot. Okay, so because it is also a board game convention, I won't explain how these work now, but it appears that each booth might have an event that triggers, which is kind of exciting, and that will happen during my upkeep phase. Okay, so to look at our starting event, it is lunchtime. Let's go check out the food trucks. So for the first 2 action phases, victims will follow me out of those booth spaces. Now, the only thing that sucks about that for me is it's going to be really hard for me to actually get in to any of those booth spaces. But yeah, let's see how this goes. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. And I'm hoping that I won't, face my real nightmare of being flocked by birds. All right, so I'm actually going to start by walking, unlike, every other time I play Final Girl. I'm worried about how hard it's going to be to move people later, and this is what I was worried about. So I wanted to see if I would get the option to discard cards early, which I actually do get the chance to. So I'm going to discard these 4 cards to be able to turn this into a super success, so I can move up to 2 spaces, and I will lose 1 time for that. All right, so with those 2 spaces I get to move, I'm going to take advantage of this lunchtime event. Then I'm going to go into Van Ryder games and head into Pristine Continent games for my second move action. Because I'm hoping that when I play this walk card, which I'll do now, that I won't fail at all, and I'll be able to move out into the main hall. But of course, the game has other ideas. So I'm going to lose 2 time. I'm going to go down to 3 time left. I am going to move 1 space still, and because of that, I'm going to take a singular wound. Cool, so I had 3 time to spend, and I've picked up a sprint and a close call. So now we go to the killer's action, well, the minion action here for the birds. So the first thing that the birds do is they will first attack. Now, when birds attack, they will attack in each spot that the final girl's in, at least 1 bird, and then any space with 3 birds. And when they attack as well, they will prioritize normal victims over the final girl. So what that means for me is that I brought these 2 people and I tore them away from demoing their games. And this bird just swooped one of them, and one of them is instantly gone, which is so unfortunate. So we will move up the track here on the Bloodlust track, and we'll see what this next event is. Okay. Nervous attendees. Something feels off this year. So I get to add 1 to my horror rolls when resolving the Create a Panic action card. That is pretty good. I'll also remove 1 of these tracking tokens off that event because lunchtime will only be active for 1 more round. Cool. All right, now it's time for the terror card. All right, the birds are attacking. So there will be an attack in my space and all spaces where birds outnumber victims. And if no attacks occurred, bird bloodlust. So there is a bird in our space. So again, the bird will once again attack, which will eliminate that victim. So whoever was demoing, I guess someone was trying one of Van Ryder's new games, or maybe one of the new feature films, or that Greek Odyssey game that was on crowdfunding. And they unfortunately were dragged away from it by me, Melanie, trying to help everyone out, and bang, gone. So Bloodlust will go up again. Our horror will go up to 5. Now as well, what I forgot to do before was there was a bird symbol here, which means I have to spawn birds. So the way that spawning birds works is we roll 2 dice, and one of the values will say how many are placed, and the other will say where they are placed. So this is where I start making choices. Now, I can put 1 bird in the nearest item spot, which would be where I am, because that is how this one works. Or I could put 3 birds in any amount of spaces. That is not ideal. I think I am going to put 3 birds in any number of spaces. So we'll go, 1 can go out into the back docks. 1 can go here with this person. And the last one can go here with that person, just so I can get a nice spread away from where I am. Cool, so now we move to the panic phase. We would have panicked in here, but there is not a victim to panic in there anymore. I'll just double check to see if they would be panicking in other spots because they are minions and not killers. Cool, so there would not be any panicking in any of these other spots where there are birds and victims because birds are minions and not killers. So everyone is just kind of standing there. I guess where there's 1, they're just kind of annoyed by the fact that someone's flying around against the roof. But over here, well, there is absolute misery. So in the upkeep phase, we now get to do this booth event situation. So I will draw the first booth card, which is Outside Down Games. Cool, so I have to roll a die. And on a 3, I spawn a victim. So a new person has come in and they are really excited to try out whatever Outside Down are demoing. Cool. So we are now in a bit of a situation because our horror level is on 5 and we really only have a sprint to use. So I may as well try it to see what kind of anarchy we can get up to. And that is not great. I'm going to have to reroll because it's the only other option I have just so I can try and do something this turn. I will lose 2 times, reroll both, just to hope I can get 2 successes. That is even worse. I am going to cry, quite frankly. That is absolutely abysmal. I think I'm going to just move into this spot here with the duck game and this person, and see what kind of games they're playing over there. Cool. So with my 4 time, I picked up a search and a sprint as well as all of my 0 cost cards from the previous round. Now we will go into the minion phase. This time there will be no attacks done, which is good for us. But unfortunately, we now have to reveal the top card of the Terror deck. Now, I keep forgetting to spawn in the birds. I just don't want to be dealing with birds. I find that so infuriating. All right. So I've rolled 2 4s, which means that 4 birds will spawn into the nearest exit. So I am here, which means that 4 birds will spawn here. But what you'll notice is there is already 1 there. So now I will explain what happens when there is an overflow of birds. Cool. So when spawning birds, pretty much there is a max of 3 birds in each space. And for every other time that you have to put birds, so on top of that limit, so as an example, there was already 1 here and I had to place 4. So I just placed 2 more here, so there's still 2 left. I have to go to any other nearby square and place them on there, just like Pandemic, and then they'll just explode and explode and explode, which is absolutely horrible for our luck right now because the birds are really swarming here at the gaming convention. All right, so the Terror card, the birds are attacking. We've got this one again. So there will be an attack in our space and all spaces where birds outnumber victims. There are no birds where we are. That's the nearest one with 1 and 1 and that one too, so that is okay. But because no attacks occurred, I'm going to spawn more birds and the Bloodlust track will go up by 1. Okay, so my spawning birds has not only affected me negatively by putting 3 in my spot down here, but I now have unveiled the Dark Power, which is run for your life. Now, during upkeep, the victim furthest from me will panic. And if they panic to a space with 2 or more birds, they will instantly die. So at this point, kind of where I'm standing, I guess you can't see the roof at all. You can only see birds. And that sends a shiver down my spine. Cool. So we go to upkeep now. I will panic the victim furthest from me, which I guess is going to be this person out here in the event docks. So I give them a roll. And they have rolled a 5. So they are going to go up here, which is safe for now. Okay, it's time to reveal the next booth. Van Ryder Games. All right. Let's see what is happening here. All right, so I've rolled a 6, which means I have to resolve a booth event, which reads, Star Sighting. Do you know who that is? If there are no special victims in play, reveal event cards until you find one with a special victim and resolve it. Then, shuffle the revealed cards back into the event deck. Take the special victim closest to the booth and place it in the booth space. Now, this could be AJ just showing up somewhere at this convention. Unfortunately, because the rules of the Terror from Above expansion dictate that the special victims can only be reserved for that subset of the rules, it means that anytime I would pull an event card that has a special victim, I would discard it and instead draw another one. So I will do that now, which has Shady Practices. Place the killer in the booth space. And discard this. So again, there is no killer. There are a bunch of birds. Now, when you are playing in this feature film, I'm trying to see what card it is. Here you go. It dictates, if the card specifies for the killer to move, I spawn birds instead. And if the card specifies for a killer to be placed somewhere, I would place 3 birds there instead. So unfortunately, that means that, well, at Van Ryder Games, there is going to be 3 birds just appearing out of nowhere. Someone's opened a feature film box and they've been met by a face full of birds. Bird scare, if you will. It'd be funny if I could. Anyway, besides the point. Cool. So that is absolutely atrocious. There are so many birds everywhere, but I just feel weird going around trying to squish them all. I guess I don't have to use the word squish, but that's what I've decided to do. Anyway, I think I need to really start getting people out of here. So for starters, we have lost the lunchtime event, meaning that people will no longer follow us out of booth spaces. So that is a shame for us, which means it's going to be a lot harder now to make things happen for our final go. Cool. Let's see if we can search. I want to see if we can try and get something to help us out here. Again, that is horrible. I'm going to get rid of a focus and a short rest just so I can take the top item of the card at my space. Cool, so I've lost 1 time and I've picked up the coupon book, which lets me roll an extra die when resolving the search action in card spaces, or booth spaces, sorry. All right, so I've discarded a walk to take this create a panic card, and I am going to play it now, which will hopefully let me get this person out of that area. Beautiful. So I've rolled a success. I'm going to lose another time, putting me down to 4 time. And now I get to panic each victim in my space, and I can modify each panic roll by the result of 1. So I'm just going to move these people out here. And to get out of this spot, I need something between a 4 or a 6. And I can modify the result by 1. That is not a successful panic. So the person will just kind of run around and they will stay put right there, which is absolutely horrible for my turn. Okay, I'm going to try and focus because I really need something to start going my way. I'm just hoping that this might work for me. Ah, that is so upsetting. I'm just going to lose 2 time. So I go down to 2 time left, which means my next turn is going to be absolutely horrible. But I'll see if I can take some people out with me. So I'm going to sprint. I'm just going to try and get out of this spot. So I'm going to move. I get 1 success. So I lose 1 time, meaning I've got 1 time left after this. I'm going to spend 1 to move into the main hallway. Then I will spend... no, I'm just going to move into the main hallway. I'll just stay there. And while I'm there, I'm going to punch a bird. I'm just going to see if I can just clock back my fist and absolutely smack one. So I lose a health, but one of the birds in the main hallway has been knocked out. Oh, man. Okay, so I only had 1 time, which means I only get 1 reroll, which is absolutely horrible. All right, so the birds are going to attack. I'm going to get hit by a bird in my space because I'm hanging out with the bird here. And in any space where there are 3 birds, they will also attack. So down here, this guy that we tried to help get out of there is completely decimated by the birds, meaning that the horror will go up once more to level 6. So we are 1 horror spot away from only being able to roll 1 die, which is absolutely horrible. I also just noticed before that I forgot that I had this event in play, which would have let me roll an extra die when I was trying to panic that guy out of that spot. But because I missed it, it's too bad. What could have been? Perhaps I could have saved his life, but I guess we'll never know. All right. No one is safe. Reveal a booth card and place the killer in that space. Okay, so I will reveal the next booth card, which will be Pristine Content Games. So anytime I have to place the killer in a space, I will put 3 people or 3 birds there. And Now I have to resolve this action twice, which would be I get attacked. Well, I think it happens 3 times actually. So it will happen the first time from this, which I am here in the main hallway with the bird, so I'll get hit once. Then I have to repeat it 2 more times. So I'm actually going to get attacked 3 times, which is disastrous because I have no defense cards. So I will lose the first health, and I now have to reveal this token. No, so hang on. Let me pause it for a sec. I'll go check the rules. Okay, cool. So the first hit was that one. The second hit takes this away, and now I have to flip it over to see if I heal at all. Nah, great. I do not heal, and I fall victim to this bird in the main hallway, which I guess he watched me absolutely knock out his friend. Yeah, that's the terror from above. And that officially concludes our playthrough of Season 1 of Final Girl. Yeah, I am excited to actually play the board game convention map at some point in the future because it's really cool. But the reason like I said before, the reason I put this matchup together was because my biggest fear is here in Australia, PAX is kind of like the main convention. You have PAX Australia where there is a big tabletop hall. And every time I go there, I'm always so scared that a bird will just start flying around. And it's happened before, but not to this extent that you see down here. But yeah, stay tuned for a review of all of Final Girl Season 1. And I will definitely be seeing you in the future. I have been your unofficial Australian board game correspondent, and that's me signing off for playing through Season 1.